Now, certain other aspects of the Phoenix Project were carrying on elsewhere. As we found out, there was one going on in West Germany. A man surfaced who was the financial director of the Phoenix Project and interfaced with the financial interests of the CIA because he was already, if you want to pardon the expression, hooked by the CIA. And he surfaced about 6 months ago, and we were debriefing him in a way which exposed his hidden memories. And he started to remember Montauk and who was there, what happened, what programs were involved, what he was involved in, names, places, dates, things which, of course, caused, I'm sure, a sheer panic to the government because he was monitored 24 hours a day by the CIA and other intelligence groups. And he was on a 2-year suspension from final sentencing for self-admitting that he had misappropriated some $300,000 of money. Not from the company accounts, which is where it came from, because they proved conclusively he never signed the signatures on those checks. There was collusion with the company. But they did find, of course, that he transferred money from his account where it mysteriously appeared into other accounts that made him culpable, because he then took that money, did not report it, used it for his own purposes, and that made him
But he was instrumental in transferring the money to Germany.
Yes, he was instrumental in...
Any other countries that made...
Don't know. No, they continued.
Japan,
they continued part of the Phoenix Project on in Western Germany, probably in the Black Forest. And that was Project Marla, if I remember correctly. Marla, M-A-R-L-A. And he knew of other projects, but at that point they suddenly decided he had to be sentenced, and he refused to fight it and asked change of his plea from guilty to not guilty and demand a jury trial. He wouldn't do it. He refused to appear on the Geraldo Now It Can Be Told show. Geraldo wanted him on the show and wanted to expose this whole business, and he finally said no. He was probably concerned about his family, and I'm sure had been threatened because he has a wife and 3 kids. And of course this makes somebody very vulnerable. If he really has a feeling for his family, he's going to shut up and do what he's told. So they put him in a country club prison in West Virginia or Kentucky. And he's there, and he will eventually get out. It was a 33-month sentence, and probably get out early for good behavior.
Any other spin-offs from the Phoenix Project, per se?
Not that I can at this moment think of. I'm sure there are others, and we're still researching it to find out what else went on.
Well, I remember we talked several months ago, and you mentioned that certain strong vibrations of the etheric kind that certain extremely sensitive psychic people have sensed here in Los Angeles and Phoenix may have come from the next generation of a Phoenix Project that was trying to open portal,
a new hole,
a wormhole into not this universe, but into the adjacent, into the neighboring universe.
Right.
Can you elaborate anything on that?
Partially. Through various friends and contacts I have, having been an engineer for 30 years, you do make a few friends. And I did find out that there was a time research program going on run by our U.S. government, and that the headquarters for this was at Los Alamos, New Mexico, and they were having some serious problems with it. I got this from other engineers. They had real problems. They finally had to shut it down. Whether it's been revived since or not, I don't know, but it kicked up all over the country. Because when you're dealing with basically time waves, you are dealing with a force and a phenomena which knows no limit in terms of distance that phenomena will travel. A time wave can be generated, or a time modulating system for modulating the time wave can be generated by a very small piece of equipment involving 2 transistors or 2 tubes and the right coil and associated pieces of equipment, even portably. And that thing can be turned on the East Coast, on Long Island, and this has been done. I have felt it in Phoenix. And the transmission is not instantaneous. The time wave is not an instantaneous transmission, but it is fast.
My personal experience with metaphysical literature also tells me that the higher the class of energy that you learn to manipulate, the easier it becomes to manipulate the lower levels, the hierarchically lower levels of matter and energy, and the more compact the whole hardware, the whole device becomes
Right.
to the point of having it as small on your a ring on your finger, or even basically finally you learn to do that with the powers of your brain. But
Yes.
other spin-offs of the Phoenix project.
No, can't think of any more right now. But the one about the time
Were
is
they
interesting.
successful to open a wormhole to the
Yes.
neighboring universe?
Yes, this was an attempt to break through to a neighboring universe, and my information is they were successful. It caused a huge backlash that the neighboring universe put a plug in their tunnel, if you will, and eventually it was moving its plug all the way back to the end at Los Alamos. Right.
This sounds a little bit comical, like these
Like
comics, these children's comics.
We don't want you poking around in our little sand pile, so we're putting a plug in your game.
So
It's
what
essentially
happened when their plug landed into our soup?
there was. I don't believe there was anything like a major explosion, but they had a lot of equipment failures, and they had to shut down. Whether or not it's ever been fired back up or not, I don't know. I have two sources at the present time which tell me of those operations and the problems they had with them, and a second source which indicates, yes, they know of the time experiments.
So
And would not
basically-
detail what.
Fascinating. So maybe this will be the topic of our next interview: travels beyond our universe to the universes around us. But so this means that the Phoenix technology is capable of all universe travel, travel to every point in our universe.
Definitely, every point in our universe, and they actually did break through to another universe.
Little or no time, basically, as measured by an external observer here on our planet, and by another moving and transported observer that goes through the time tunnel. Basically, the time is very short, like seconds or minutes.
Typically, they would run about 1 minute, 30 seconds to a minute. If you were traveling to another point on this planet, it would be probably less than 30 seconds. If you were traveling to Mars or some other very remote point, it could take many minutes. But still, it was very fast.
But less than an hour.
Oh, yes, yes. They didn't want to keep the tunnels open that long unless it was absolutely essential, because they were always concerned about equipment breakdowns.
I see.
So what they would do normally was they would
The tunnel will be up,
and program.
the human being travels, then they bring them down, and then they would reopen them again to bring the human being
Right.
back.
Would be prearranged and pre-programmed.
Were they able to send material and hardware and stuff through the tunnel?
Oh, yes.
Bricks, cement, to start building some bases elsewhere?
If they could send gold bricks through space-time, I think they could send anything else. And they did lose some of the stored gold from the underground by admission of Herman Sienterman himself in the early days when the tunnels were not stable.
I see. I heard stories that another Phoenix station was built on another planet as a backup station in case everything fails on this planet. Then the hierarchy here would still have an escape chute or route, so to speak.
It was not necessarily on another planet. My recollection of it is it was actually in another universe. And it was very well concealed. It was done in case everything failed here. They would find a way to get to that one and continue the research there. That one was located and apparently was put out of commission by friendly aliens, who put it that way.
So basically that other unit, that other base is not operational right now?
No.